Hello, world. My name is Trey Wharton. It's a little hard to give a speech when you don't prepare for it, but I want to make a speech to the entire world. And um, I suppose to get to the point of why I feel like I need to make this message, I should introduce myself and explain why I came to that reason, why I need to make this video, of course. I feel like I have been lied to the most hurtful, terrible lies all my life. And this year, something changed where I was lied to by someone I cared about, and it hurt me deeply. And I didn't let it destroy me. Instead, I let it become a lesson. The lesson that I learned really was that we don't have to live like this anymore. We don't have to keep hurting each other and lying to each other and doing these terrible things to each other all the time. And I'm talking, of course, about humanity, treating each other terribly, everyone. So I looked at my entire life and I looked at what I was good at, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, what can I do, what can I offer the world. And I can't paint, I can't sing, I don't have any musical talent. I I'm just kind of normal. I don't really have any special talents. I mean, I like to exercise and I like to get people together and play games. But as I looked at what is my gift, I look back at my life and back in elementary school and middle school and high school where people formed cliques and there was jocks, nerds, popular, non-popular, all these labels. Remember that? My gift was superseding those labels. And I was friends with every single group there was. I was friends with everyone. And I didn't understand why it couldn't just be that way. Why did we have to have labels? Why did we have to have groups? Why did we have to have cliques? It I hung with everyone. I was friends with everybody. And it confused me, why couldn't everybody live like that? So that's my gift, is bringing groups and labels and cliques, bringing people together, abolishing these labels that we put on each other, and bringing people together. That's my talent. That's what I have to offer to the world. So this year, I all my life I never was very spiritual. I didn't like it because of religion itself and how it divided people and how it classified people and how it just turned people against each other. So I never looked into religion or spirituality or any of that stuff. I just lived my life. I treated people good. Up until this year, I was lied to someone deeply, and it changed something in me where I started looking at, if I can treat people good and they lie to me and treat me terribly, I must do something to deserve it. So I must need to get better. I must need to improve myself and be a better person. So I started looking at, what can I do to improve myself? Of course. So I turned to spirituality. So I started looking at religion, and I didn't want to focus on one religion and one belief. I wanted to solve the universe. So I started looking at Christianity. I started looking at, I don't know, the Jewish religion, sorry, Buddhism, Islam, just every single type of religion there is. I started researching it. I started looking at all of it. The point is, I started looking at all this stuff when I never did my entire life. And I came to a really easy conclusion that I looked at all these groups, all these religions, all these faiths, all these beliefs, and they all boiled down to the exact same message: love. Love is the message of every single one of them. So why have all these different variations of beliefs, and why let it classify us? Why let it separate us? Why let it divide us? If everything is about love, and everything in this world is about light and love. So then I started looking at the dark parts of the world, and I realized that I live in a world that doesn't make sense to me, and I don't like or appreciate the things that are allowed to happen in this world. War, violence, lying and deceit, hurting each other. There's no reason for it. Why? I don't find it hard to treat others well. I host an event I call Map All Day. It's a game of kickball, just a variation of the rules. It's called Map Ball. I host it every Sunday, and I bring people together. I've done it last year and this year, and this year I've done it every Sunday 16 times in a row. And we usually get about 30 to 100 people to show up and play a game. I get people together, I lay down the rules of the game, and then once they know how to play the game, lay down the rules, I let them know, while you attend this event, there's only one rule that really matters in this game and in life, is the golden rule: to treat others the way that you want to be treated, to love one another, to bring each other up instead of putting each other down. Because that's the way that I live my life. I don't understand the people that can't. People tell me that they're just bad people, they're just evil. It just exists in the world, and you just have to put up with it, you just have to accept it. There's war in the world, there's violence, there's this, there's that, there's all this stuff, and all I get is, this is the way it's always been. This is the way that we do things. I'm just doing my job. Does that sound like change? No. It sounds passive. And then every time I hear people that I say, well, look at this. Why don't we change this? Then they say, well, I'm fine. I have a house. I have kids. I have a family. I got a great job. I got blah, 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 blah. So who cares? I'm living fine. And I can't stand that idea that people are just so passive that they can look. We have internet, we have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have all of these mediums to connect with each other all over the world. And you can go out, get on a computer, look into what's going on in the world, see police brutality, see corruption, see violence, see secrets that are just being pointed out, that are obvious, that these are just these terrible things happening in the world, and then the person just sits there and be like, well, somebody's going to do something about it. It's not my problem. How is the world going to change if you're just sitting there and you're passive about this, saying, well, I'm fine. I'm privileged. I don't, none of this bad stuff. Yeah, I see it, but none of it's affecting me. So why do I have to deal with it? Someone's going to deal with it. How dare you? How dare you see all this going on in the world and then just I expect better from you, from all of you. This message is to the entire world. If I could speak through this video that I'm going to put on YouTube to everybody, if I could speak to everyone in Russia, everyone in China, everyone in America, everyone in South America, just every continent, if this message can go viral and speak to the world, that's my goal. That's my plan. That if we have this power that I can get on YouTube, and if a cat video, there's a little cat dangling, playing with stuff, and yeah, it's cute, but if something like that can go viral and get 18 million views in an hour, why can't a simple message from a guy, 24-year-old man, just an average guy from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, why can't this message, a message of change, a message of hope, a message of peace, why can't that go viral? It's a rhetorical question because it should. This past year, I've been looking at all the good and the bad in the world. And I looked at what you're not supposed to look at, what they tell you to not look at, what they say, if you look at this, if you talk about this, you're crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist, you have problems in your head just because you take a glance behind the curtain. You remember the movie Wizard of Oz? Oh, don't go behind the curtain. Don't pay attention to what's going on behind there. Just pay attention to this. Fear this. Listen to this. Obey. I looked behind the curtain. I looked at everything I could for the past 2.5 months. I looked at all the conspiracy theorists, everything. And what I came to realize is that there's a source to all this ugliness in the world. There's secrets. There's lies. And that's what sparked me to get this message, is I'm tired of being lied to. I'm tired of being hurt. I'm tired of seeing the ugliness in the world and nobody doing anything about it. And there's a lot of people that are doing something, but I'm sorry to generalize. I apologize. Sometimes the people that don't do anything or put me personally down saying, Trey, you're not doing anything. All you're doing is putting up messages on Facebook and putting up words and hope. You're not doing anything. You people are out of your mind. The things that I'm doing right now, I'm an average 24-year-old guy. I don't have a bunch of money. I don't have a bunch of power. I don't have celebrity status. I don't have mass influence on a bunch of people. All I have is this. I have my voice. I have my beliefs. And all I care about is world peace and love and unity. Because that's what it all should be about. That's what we should be teaching our kids. That's what we should be raising. That's the world that we should be living in. It makes me sick that we can't. I see all these things like, are you living in the Matrix? Are you living in reality? Or is this just a fake reality? And if you are, then be the hero of your reality, be the hero of your movie if you're in a movie. And when I look at that, this could all be fake, whatever, this could be real. All I know is I'm here in the now and I see all this stuff going on in the world, and I'm going to be the hero of my movie. I'm going to be the hero of my life. And what I want to do is bring people together. I want to be the modern day Paul Revere of the world that says, hey, I see some bad stuff coming, and let's work together to avoid it. If, yeah, the stuff that I've been looking at, I saw the end of the world predictions that it could happen this year, could happen next year. I saw secret societies that you're not supposed to talk about, not even supposed to speak the name, otherwise you get tasered by the police, or people lead you out just because you ask a president or you ask a political figure, hey, can you talk about this? Just this subject for a second, like the Bohemian Grove, or the Skull and Bones Society, or the Bilderberg Group, or the Rothschilds that own the Federal Reserve. All this stuff that you're just not supposed to talk about, all these secrets, all these things that are being kept from the public eye. I don't like secrets. I don't like being lied to. And it's time that someone stands up and puts their voice, puts their message into the world. So there can be a lot of truth in this world that could be hidden from us. There could be aliens out here that are just in plain sight but hidden from us. There could be all the things that I looked at, like a secret agenda to take over the world and create a new world order and a unified government, and Agenda 21 that's supposed to depopulation the entire world to like 1 billion or less and kill a bunch of people. I look at all this stuff, and yeah, you can call someone crazy for looking at it and be like, oh, you believe in that stuff? Like, you can or cannot, but the fact is I'm looking, and the fact is that I don't like what I see. And if this is reality, governments, political figures, people in power, people at the top of the pyramid that control everything, I don't fear you. I'm not going to. Because this world deserves better. And to everyone in this world that can see the lies and see the corruption and see that there's war going on and people are being murdered and nobody does anything, they just are passive and say, oh, well, someone's going to do something about it. You can do something about it. Every single one of you. And I'm tired of hearing that you can't. I can't do this. I can't do that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. All you need. You don't need a bunch of abilities or power or money. You don't need all that stuff. You need this. You need your voice to stand up and say, I'm done. I'm done with the lies. I'm done being treated like this. I'm done with corrupt government. I'm done with police brutality. I'm sick of the violence. I'm sick of the war. I'm done. I'm not putting up with it anymore. I take a stand. I don't want this in my world anymore. This is the world I live in, and I'm going to raise a daughter to grow up in this world. I don't want her to get older and say, well, why are we having these wars? Why are we doing this? And I'll be like, because there's evil people in the world and they control us. There's bad governments and we can see that they're lying to us. Let me just pause for a second. Edward Snowden, you are my hero. Whistleblowers, you are my hero. Because this world deserves truth. This world deserves love and compassion and empathy. And I applaud whistleblowers for telling us the truth, showing us what the government hides from us, how they lie, how they deceive, how they corrupt. And I'm done with it. So I'm taking a stand. Because what I can do is I can give this to the world and tell people you can too. I don't have a speech prepared. I'm just speaking off my mind, so it's going to be very scattered. But that's my message. What I can do in my authority or level of power, what I can do right now is spread messages of hope on my Facebook, on everything I can, get events put together. And I'm not going to be discouraged by these passive people who tell me, Trey, you're not doing anything by this stuff. Yes, I am. I'm putting my voice and my ideas into the world. And if you weren't so blind and ignorant, you would pay attention. When I grew up, I was friends with everyone. And I'm talking about everyone. Black, white, Hispanic. I could go on and on about different classifications, different divisions of people. And I was friends with all of them. Because they're not their labels. They're people. They're human beings. We are all human beings. We are all one. And when you say, I'm an American, I'm a German, I'm this, I'm that, you're just putting labels on yourself. You're just dividing yourself from what you really are. You are a human being. You are love. That's what you are. That's what you should bring into this world. The golden rule is treat others the way you want to be treated. I learned hate from school. They taught me about the wars that we had back in the day, about racism, and all this stupid stuff. I learned how to hate, and I rejected it. Because it was stupid. Like, why hate this person because of his skin color? Why hate this person because of his sexual orientation? Why hate this person because of their beliefs? Why hate? Why? There's no point to it. Not a single damn point at all. It doesn't make sense to me. It's a sick environment to live in if everyone's going to hate each other, and I don't want to live in that. I want to live in a world where we help each other. We have technologies that are being released out to the public just tiny bit by bit, that we have the technologies to live in a better world, that we can end poverty, we can end world hunger, we can build a utopia and come together. And if we all realize this and we all focused on this and we get the secrets out, we could find a way to live with humanity and nature together and spirituality. We don't have to... I mean, I heard that we have a machine that can make food now and can print food. So imagine if that's just like the tip of the iceberg, and then we have all this stuff that's being hidden. Then we have the technology to eat right and stop killing animals. And people will be like, oh, I don't want to stop killing animals because I love to hunt. I love to go out and kill and kill and kill and kill. Good for you. Good for you that you just enjoy going out and murdering. If you don't have to, why do it? If we have the technology that we can make food that nourishes our body, that we no longer have to kill, if that was a possibility, people would people would be like, well, oh, well, okay, but I'm still going to go hunt. I'm still going to go kill. I'm still going to eat animals. If you don't have to, then why do it? It doesn't make sense. So, I'm sorry that my message is very scattered. Because I'm not going to prepare a speech. I'm not going to be eloquent in my speech. I'm going to speak from the heart. Not a bunch of political speeches that just fill your mind with emptiness because they say, I'm going to can, I'm going to can, I'm going to can, and then they don't do anything. We vote in America for Republican, Democrat, and it's just a big illusion. Like, you're not doing anything. All I hear from everyone around me, everyone I listen to, the public does not like what you're doing. And they're outcrying pretty bad. And you can see the police brutality rise against it to combat a government without the consent of the governed. It's not going to happen. And all the stuff that I've been looking into, the conspiracies, the secrets, the lies, all I hear about is, don't talk about it. If you talk about it, government is going to come in the middle of the night and kill you. Because anyone who speaks out against corrupt government, everyone who speaks about love and speaks about peace and wants to end war and wants to end the flow of money, because that's all it is. That's all that rules this world right now is money and greed. And there's people out there who are so focused on their money and so focused on their greed that they're soulless, they're corrupt. They'll kill because you threaten to take away their money. Because you threaten to change things, to change the establishment, to change the order. We should have change. Real change. Not this system that we have now, that everyone can see the holes in, everyone can see the lies, everyone can see the corruption. And if you can't, you're waking up to it pretty damn quick. I don't want the world to end. I want to save everyone. And everyone tells me, well, you can't save everybody. Why even bother? Again, a bunch of passive people putting me down, telling me what to think, telling me what to do, telling me what to believe. And I stand up and I say, no. I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to speak to as many people as I can, and I'm going to save as many people as I can. If this is really the end times, sorry if I'm foolish to consider that or believe that or whatever, but if it was real, then I'm going to do what I can in my position right now. And if all that is getting on YouTube and saying, hey, the entire world, stop the lies, stop the corruption, stop war. We can do it. We could do it within a week if we all unanimously around the world, unified together, we could end war. If I could speak to someone who's in Iran or in Germany or in Canada, and if I could reach millions and millions of people, just love. Just treat each other with respect and dignity. Follow the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. I'm going to create an event. There's the Million Man March going on November 5th, where they put on those those masks, and we protest and saying, we're done with the government corruption and lies and war. We're done. We've had enough. This world needs to change. I want my daughter to grow up into a good world. That's what I'm going to fight for. Because I'm done being distracted by parties and drinking and all this stupid stuff all over that I see people just, I see my friends just wasting their lives away partying, doing nothing. And they say, well, all you're doing is making a YouTube video. How are you much better? I'm not better. I'm not better than anybody. You're not better than anyone. We are all human beings. All we should do is love each other and share knowledge, share truth. And I believe that sharing ideas, sharing knowledge, sharing a voice is the most powerful thing that you can do. I want to make a worldwide event, a trend, so to speak. It's not my idea because I saw a girl doing this. I don't know who you are, but if you ever see my message, I got it from you. I don't know who you are. It was just a random post on Facebook, but she had in her hand just a simple message saying, "My life matters." And it resonated with me because I know that they're doing Black Lives Matter right now, and you have every right to, because what you guys have gone through in history is terrible. What Native Americans have gone through is terrible. What everyone who suffers from... It's not my fault, but being that I'm white, I guess, my label, my classification, I'm sorry. I know that it's not my fault that a bunch of ancestors hurt your ancestors, but we are in the here and now. And if we focus on the history and the past, we're just going to repeat the same cycles of hate and over again. It's time to stop. Yes, there's been terrible, terrible history in the human race in general. When I saw the movie Avatar, I rooted for... I'm blanking on their names right now, but the blue people in Avatar, sorry, I can't remember their label right now, but I rooted for them. I was like, the humanity and what they're doing to just coming over, the arrogance. It made me ashamed for the human race watching that movie. Because we can be better. We can do better. So I'm going to host a Million Mask March on November 5th in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I'm going to create a Facebook page for it, and this message, that event, and whatever else I can do is what I'm going to do to try to unify the world. Because that's what we need. If I was 35, I would run for president right now. And I would say, honestly, I would probably say, yeah, corporations, I'm probably going to take you down. And then they're going to be like, whoa, well, kill this kid. You know, this kid's ain't going to get in the way of my money train. I'm here to change the world for the better, not to allow the same cycles of money and greed and hate and war and violence and murder just continuing. Let's end it. Let's end this cycle of bullshit. Sorry to swear, because I know that kids will see this, and I'm trying to be a good role model for kids and for my daughter and for the world, but sometimes you got to take a stand and say, I'm sick of the bullshit in the world, and I want to change it. And we should all change it. We shouldn't shove our face down in the sand and down in the liquor and down in just shoving ourselves down in arrogance and passive. I'm sick of people not taking a stand. So I'm gonna. And I'm gonna do everything I can. I'm going to close out this message. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't even go into the trend that I want to set, that if everybody can do this, is either write on their hand or put onto a poster and just write, "My life matters," and make it your profile picture on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Make it a viral event. Let's do something. Let's change the world. Every single life matters. Every one of them. I don't care about your label. I don't care about your heritage, your skin color, your this, your that, your... Don't let it define you. Don't let it make the root of why you hate someone else. I'm sure that this message, if it gets out to the world like I want it to, and gets millions and millions of views, and we could try to maybe change the world, I'm sure there's probably some people in another country being like, well, screw this kid. Like, I want everything to stay the same. I want to murder people. I want to be a bad person. And they're just going to hate me just because I'm speaking this message. Sorry. Sorry that I want love in the world. It's a way I want to live. It's a way I'm going to live. I'm going to set my bar up here. And I invite you all to come and reach this bar. I'm not saying I'm better than you. I'm saying set your expectations of yourself higher and set them higher for other people. I expect you to do better. People think that I'm foolish and that I'm naive, thinking that I can change the world just by making a message. I see it the same as how I see it when I host Map All Days. When they are there, we haven't had a single fight. People have drama and people like fight at bars and all that kind of stuff, but nobody has fought at my event because my event is about fun and unity and community and love. And while they're there, I tell them, I have an expectation for you. While you're here, I expect for 3 hours out of the day that you follow the golden rule. And sometimes people have a tough time seeing how they treat other people and getting too into the game and losing sight of what matters. But I see love and I see magic in that event that I'm doing, and I see that in the world. So I'm going to spread my view. And it may be naive, it may be gullible to think that I can save everyone or change everyone, be like, some people are just evil and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, then there's nothing I can do about it, but I'm going to try. And that's what matters, is that you try. Don't be passive. Don't say you can't. Try to change the world. Try to make it better. Be a better person yourself and then expect better of other people. It's not that hard. It's not. I think I've said everything that I need to say out of my own personal message, for how scattered it was. I'm sorry. But I'm going to close this message out saying, please get this message out there. Share it to every single person that you can. Make it a viral video. Let's change the world. And make your profile picture saying, "My life matters." Because all of our lives matter. Every single one of us. And how I'm going to end this message is reading off some of my favorite quotes that I've compiled that I feel are profound and enlightening. And hopefully this message makes a difference to everyone that sees it, to the entire world. Let's unite. Let's stop the labels, stop the division, and focus on maybe the people that are controlling us and stand up to them and say, we've had enough. We want real change. And if you're not going to give it to us, then we're demanding it. We are here, we are known, we are demanding world peace. Do it. Just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday you said tomorrow, so just do it. Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream of success, while you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're going to not stop there. No. What are you waiting for? Do it. Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it. If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. Shia LaBeouf, thank you. Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. Albert Einstein, thank you. I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jewish, Gentile, black, men, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there is room for everyone. And the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives us abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life would be violent and all would be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness of man, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but passing of the greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, dictators will die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourself to brutes, men who despise you and enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to the unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men. You have love of humanity in your hearts. You do not hate. Only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke, it's written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men. In you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, Let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age and security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill their promise, and they never will. Dictators free themselves, but enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with natural barriers, to do away with greed and with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite. Charlie Chaplin. Thank you. I'm grabbing my other one. I'm just getting past this long one here. I apologize. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people feel insecure around you. We were all meant to shine as children. Not just in some of us, it is in every one of us. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as we are liberated from our own fears, so are they. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. That is Marianne Williamson. Thank you. Somewhere along the line you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you that you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Well, let me tell you something you already know. This world ain't sunshine and rainbows. It is a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't hard. It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. If you want to go through all the battling, you got to go through to get where you're gonna get. Who's got the right to stop you? I mean, maybe some of you guys got something you've never finished, something you really want to do, something you never really said to somebody, something, and you're told no. And even after you pay your dues, who's got the right to tell you that? Who? Nobody. It is your right to listen to your gut. It ain't nobody's right to say no after you've earned the right to be what you want to be and do what you want to do. Now, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you got to be willing to take the hit and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you are because of him or her or no anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. Rocky Balboa. Thank you. A couple of other ones. Don't know who they're from, but pain is weakness leaving the body. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Pretty words are not always true, and true words are not always pretty. And the last thing that I want to leave, one of the most important speeches I feel has been given maybe ever. President John F. Kennedy, in the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, New York City, April 27, 1961. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate very much your generous invitation to be here tonight. You bear heavy responsibilities these days, and an article I read some time ago reminded me of how particularly heavily the burdens of present day events bear upon your profession. You may remember that in 1851, the New York Herald Tribune, under the sponsorship and publishing of Horace Greeley, employed as its London correspondent an obscure journalist by the name of Karl Marx. We are told that foreign correspondent Marx, stone broke, and with a family ill and undernourished, constantly appealed to Greeley and managing editor Charles Dana for an increase in this munificent salary of $5 per installment, a salary which he and Engels ungratefully labeled as the lousiest petty bourgeois cheating. I don't think I said that right, but when all his financial appeals were refused, Marx looked around for other means of livelihood and fame, eventually terminating his relationship with the Tribune and devoting his talents full-time to the cause that would bequeath the world the seeds of Leninism, Stalinism, revolution, and the Cold War. If only this capitalistic New York newspaper had treated him more kindly, if only Marx had reminded a foreign correspondent, history might have been different. And I hope all publishers will bear this lesson in mind the next time they receive a poverty-stricken appeal for a small increase in the expense account for an obscure newspaperman. I have selected as the title of my remarks tonight, "The President and the Press." Some may suggest that this would be a more naturally worded "The President versus the Press," but those are not my sentiments tonight. It is true, however, that when a well-known diplomat from another country demanded recently that our State Department repudiate certain newspaper attacks on his colleague, it was unnecessary for us to reply that this administration was not responsible for the press, for the press had already made it clear that it was not responsible for this administration. Nevertheless, my purpose here tonight is not to deliver the usual assault on the so-called one-party press. On the contrary, in recent months, I have rarely heard any complaints about the political bias in the press except for a few Republicans. Nor is it my purpose tonight to discuss and defend the television of presidential press conferences. I think it is highly beneficial to have some 20 million Americans regularly sit on these conferences to observe, if I may say so, the incisive, the intelligent, and the courteous qualities displayed by our Washington correspondents. Nor, finally, are these remarks intended to examine the proper degree of privacy for which the press should allow any president and his family. If in these last few months your White House reporters and photographers have been attending church services with regularity, this has surely done them no harm. On the other hand, I realize that your staff and wire service photographers may be complaining that they do not enjoy the same green privileges at the local golf courses that they once did. It is true that my predecessor did not object as I do to the pictures of one's golfing skill in action, but neither, on the other hand, did he ever, being a Secret Service man. The topic tonight is a more sober one of concern to publishers as well as their editors. I want to talk tonight about our common responsibilities in the face of common danger. The events of recent weeks may have helped to illuminate that challenge for some, but the dimensions of its threat have loomed large on the horizons for many years. Whatever our hopes may be for our future, whatever for reducing this threat or living with it, there is no escaping either the gravity or the totality of its challenge to our survival and to our security, a challenge that confronts us in unaccustomed ways in every sphere of human activity. This deadly challenge imposes upon our society two requirements of direct concern both to the press and the president. Two requirements that may seem almost contradictory in tone, but which must be reconciled and fulfilled if we are to meet this national peril. I refer first to the need for a far greater public information, and second, to the need for far greater official secrecy. The word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we, as a people inherently and historically opposed by secret societies to secret oaths and secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweigh the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if its traditions do not survive with it. And there is a very grave danger that an unannounced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that is in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. But I do ask every publisher, every editor, and every newsman in the nation to re-examine his own standards and to recognize the nature of our country's peril. In time of war, the government and the press have customarily joined in an effort based largely on self-discipline to prevent unauthorized disclosures to the enemy. In time of clear and present danger, the courts have held that even the privileged rights of the First Amendment must yield to the public's need for national security. Today, no war has been declared, and however fierce the struggle may be, it may never be declared in the traditional fashion. Our way of life is under attack. Those who make themselves our enemy are advancing around the globe. The survival of our friends is in danger, and yet no war has been declared. No borders have been crossed by marching troops. No missiles have been fired. If the press is awaiting a declaration of war before it imposes the self-discipline of combat conditions, then I can only say that no war ever posed a greater threat to our security if you are awaiting and finding of a clear and present danger. Then I can only say that the danger has never been more clear and present and has never been more imminent. It requires a change in outlook, a change in tactics, a change in missions by the government, by the people, by every businessman or labor leader, and by every newspaper. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means by expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on imitation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. It conducts the Cold War, in short, with a wartime discipline no democracy would ever hope or wish to match. Nevertheless, every democracy recognizes the necessary restraints of national security, and the question remains whether those restraints need to be more strictly observed if we are to oppose this kind of attack as well as outright invasion. For the facts of the matter are that this nation's foes have openly boasted of acquiring through our newspapers information they would otherwise hire agents to acquire through theft, bribery, or espionage, that details of this nation's covert preparations to counter the enemy's covert operations have been available to every newspaper reader, friend or foe alike, that the size, the strength, the location, and the nature of our forces and weapons, and our plans and strategy for their use have all been pinpointed in the press and other news media to a degree sufficient to satisfy any foreign power, and that in at least in one case, the publication of details concerning a secret mechanism whereby satellites were followed required its alterations at the expense of considerable time and money. The newspaper which printed these stories were loyal, patriotic, responsible, and well-meaning. Had we been engaged in open warfare, they undoubtedly would not have published such items. But in the absence of open warfare, they recognize only the tests of journalism and not the tests of national security. And in my question tonight is whether additional tests should now be adopted. The question is for you alone to answer. No public official should answer it for you. No governmental plan should impose its restraints against your will. But I would be failing in my duty to the nation in considering all the responsibilities that we now bear and all the means at hand to meet those responsibilities if I did not commend this problem to your attention and urge its thoughtful consideration. Of many earlier occasions, I have said, and your newspapers have constantly said, that these are times that appeal to every citizen's sense of sacrifice and self-discipline. They call out to every citizen who weighs his rights and conforms against his obligations to the common good. I cannot now believe that those citizens who serve in the newspaper business consider themselves exempt from that appeal. I have no intention of establishing a new office of war information to govern the flow of news. I am not suggesting any form of censorship or any new types of security classifications. I have no easy answer to the dilemma that I have posed, and would not seek to impose it if I had one. But I am asking the members of the newspaper profession and the industry in the country to re-examine their own responsibilities, to consider the degree and the nature of the present danger, and to heed the duty and self-restraint which that danger imposes upon all of us. Every newspaper now asks itself, with respect to every story, is it news? All I suggest to you is that you add the question, is it in the interests of the national security? And I hope that every group in America, unions and businessmen and public officials at every level, will ask the same question of their endeavors and subject their actions to the same exacting tests. And should the press of America consider and recommend the voluntary assumption of specific news steps or machinery, I can assure you that we will cooperate wholeheartedly with those recommendations. Perhaps there will be no restrictions. Perhaps there will be no answer to the dilemma faced by a free and open society in a cold and secret war. In times of peace, any discussion of this subject and any action that result are both painful and without precedent. But this is a time of peace and peril which knows no precedent in history. It is the unprecedented nature of this challenge that also gives the rise to your second obligation, an obligation which I share, and that is our obligation to inform and alert the American people, to make certain that they will possess all the facts that they need and understand them as well the perils, the prospects, the purposes of our program, and the choices that we face. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program. For from scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition. And both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support the administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence in the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors, for as wise men once said, an error does not become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out to us when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. This is why Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it is a time for any citizen it is a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, to reflect, to state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger public opinion. This means greater coverage and analysis of international news, for it is no longer far away and foreign but close in hand and local. It means greater attention and improved understanding of the news, as well as improved transmission, and it means finally that government at all levels must meet its obligations to provide you with the fullest possible information outside the narrowest limits of national security, and we intend to do it. It was early in 17th century that Francis Bacon remarked on three recent inventions already transforming the world: the compass, gunpowder, and the printing press. Now the links between the nations first forged by the compass have made us all citizens of the world. The hopes and threats of us all in that one world's efforts to live together, the evolution of gunpowder is its ultimate limit, has warned mankind of terrible consequences of failure. And so it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, and the keeper of his consciousness, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help men will be what he was always born to be: free and independent. My name is Trey Wharton. I want peace. I want to end war. I don't want to hate anyone. I don't want anyone to hate anyone. I want to live in a world where we love each other, where I can raise a family and teach them that there is love in the world. I don't want corrupt governments. I don't want people corrupted by power controlling our rights. Stand up, do what you can, even if it's putting a YouTube video up and just praying for the best. I love all of you, everyone in the entire world, even you evil people who think that controlling people is good. Sorry, it's not. That's my message to the world. Thank you. God bless.